Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. This is gonna be, I thought I would do some builds for Survivor as well. So this is what I would say currently, at least, is the best build for Val. Now take note of the equipment that I'm using there is those two are for recovering the personal and the fever skill faster, and the syringes there are for increasing the yellow herb effect. Okay, so if you want to look for those later. Um, Now you could also take one of those syringes off if you want to and use more recovery on the power, on the personal power specifically. And the reason for that is because the power, her personal power is what makes the biggest difference on the damage, as I'll show you. So, but it still works. It's still fast enough to where you can just use the two like I'm using here, and you can still, it would be the perfect balance here. You have a lot of the syringes, and you also have a lot of recovery. It's kind of balanced in that way. So let me cover the passive perks that I was using. I didn't show you the description, but I can tell you the description so you guys can find it later if you're trying to make your build. So as far as the spray, I'm using the spray variation where it not only recovers health, but it also gives you yellow herb effects. Okay, so that's the first perk. Now, the second perk I'm using for her, the passive one, is the one that you're marking, is the marking, but it's for creatures, okay? So you have the one for cameras and for traps. I'm using the one for creatures because that's going to increase the damage on the creatures. Finally, the third perk, I'm using the one where the effects of yellow herbs on Valerie are greatly increased. That's the passive. And those syringes on the equipment side also increase the effect of the yellow herbs, the buffing effects. And finally, the last passive that I'm using is the one where the enemies, the creatures will drop grenades when you kill them, such as flashbangs and normal hand grenades. And I'll explain why that is a big deal with this build. Because of all those buffs. Of course, the way you want to play this build, you always want to have a yellow herb as much as you can. You want to have it on. But because of the equipment they're using to increase the buffing effects, it will also increase a bit of the timing, or how long the effect lasts when you eat a yellow herb. So essentially, you can eat a yellow herb like right now, for example, and it would last easily until you finish the entire area 1, for example. And you can get a yellow herb on the chest for 50 bucks. So that pretty much guarantees you to have at least one yellow herb every zone. And there's always also yellow herbs around the map that you can collect and use that way as well. Not to mention, you also have your spray, which will give you not only to you but to your whole team the effects of the yellow herbs. Now, this is really the scheme and strategy of this build. The reason why I'm using because I'm going to show you here some examples soon, how high the damage gets when you're, because ideally you always want to be marking the creatures like I'm doing here when you are shooting them, because that way you can do more damage. And if you combine that, it's 20% more damage for the marking. But when you combine those 20% with all the enhancing that you're using from the equipment and the passive perks from the yellow herbs effect, that damage just goes through the roof. You're essentially rival Samuel type of melee damage, but at the same time you also have Becca type of damage with your firearms. So Valerie just becomes kind of unstoppable at that point when you have a yellow herb active and you mark your enemies. Now, also the reason why I'm using the recovery on the equipment for the personal skill is because you'll be able to recover like fast enough to where as soon as the timing of the marker ends, the power will already be recovered for you to mark again if you need to. So that's why I have those two there. You could, if you don't want to, you can make the damage even higher, all the effects even higher, because you also take less damage when you're under the effect of the yellow herb. So it's not that your damage is insanely high, but you're also taking like less damage. It's almost like you have the Tyrone alt on you when he reduces the damage, when he screams and reduces the damage of the entire team. It's kind of having like that effect constantly when you eat a yellow herb with this build on Valerie. So she becomes really unstoppable. Like she does a lot of damage. She also has a lot of room to on her inventory. So it's like everything to combine together. It's crazy. So over here, I believe I used the yellow herb here, but You see right there on the chest, it always gives you at least one yellow herb every zone that you can buy from the chest. And again, not to mention the ones you can grab on the stage itself. And because she has more room on her inventory, I can easily carry all that stuff, as well as the grenades that you're going to be getting from killing the creatures. Since your damage is so high, it's really easy to kill creatures. You definitely notice this when you're playing net, for example. I believe the effect also works for your teammates killing the enemies, or at least if you get some kind of an assist, like you get a shot on the enemy, but then your teammate finishes it, you still get the effect of the dropping of grenades. So your teammates can also get grenades that way, and you can easily get like more than 5 grenades, like as the duration of the game, depending on how many creatures you're killing or the the masterminds are spawning. As you can see there, I just got a yellow herb from the map itself. So now I already have 2 herbs, which is more than enough to last the entirety of the zone 2 here, as you will see. Not to mention I have my spray ready there if I want to buff again, as well as buff my team. Now in this particular match, I had to kill the supply zombie, and I had to collect a certain amount of umbrella points. So that's why I'm playing the way I'm playing here, is because I'm trying to do that mission. So which I need to collect as much money as I can, as well as kill the supply zombie. So that's I'm kind of focusing my gameplay towards that, but that's not like what I do every game, just so you guys know, so you have the context behind what I'm doing here. So you also have these sprays around the map. You see right there, it did 700 damage on a headshot. That damage alone, and I'm using the Matilda, that damage rivals a Martin with full critical build equipment on it. See right here what I did? I opened the door at the exact moment that the hitbox from his shoulder would hit me, because that way I would get the invisibility frames. So that's what I did there. That's why I did not get hit with his shoulder there, shoulder charge. Now unfortunately she's gonna cough here, so I'm gonna get grabbed for it. But especially on area 3 is really where you're gonna see the damage that I'm talking about with this build. And of course it's not just area 3, it works during the entirety, as long as you have that effect. You can kill creatures in like 3 to 2 shots with this build. Actually, I would say 1 to 3 shots. Maybe you can even kill it with 1, depending on which weapon you're using. But yeah, you killed creatures in 1 to 3 shots. Every creature, even on area 3. And you take like super less damage. And as far as melee weapons go, you can even destroy the core by yourself with Valerie, just like a Samuel can, if you're using the sledgehammer. But again, I'll show you guys all this on when I get to zone 3, because you see all that start to happen more often here. I'm just really worrying about getting the cash here, so I'm not engaging as much because of my mission. So I'm not really engaging as much with the creatures. But on zone 3, that's gonna change. So again, here, always want to mark before you deal with the enemies. Some people like to use that for finding items. I think it's much more useful to use it when actually killing creatures. You see right there, 1,500 damage from one single shot with the Matilda, like with the Val. Now, which brings me to another point. Like the gun that I think is the best for playing this way is the Matilda, simply because of how fast the reticle focuses. Well, with the Matilda, you could use this with the revolver, and you would get even higher damage if you're focusing the aim when shooting. However, it takes longer, so it's a little bit less efficient, less practical. So that's why I like to use the Matilda, because the damage is already so high when you're focusing the shots like that, the reticle, that you can already kill in 1 to 3 shots. So why bother using the revolver? Just go with something that's more practical, like the Matilda. They said just reticle just focuses faster. So you see right there, he's also controlling the zombie, but I killed him super easily, just because of the effect of the yellow herb here, plus the marking. Like things just stack a lot. You see right here, he's not marked, and I'm still doing like 500 damage. And keep in mind, he's controlling a creature, so 500 damage is actually quite a lot. Because when he's controlling the creature, he takes 50% less damage. So you can imagine that 500 that I did was reduced by 50%. It was essentially like 1,000 that I did on reality. So it's like crazy, especially if you're considering using the Matilda. You can do this like with the Lightning Hog, and you can just imagine how high the damage would be. You can like one shot everything. I honestly I didn't try with the Lightning Hawk yet this build, but I can like considering how well it works with the Matilda, I can tell already how stupid it's gonna be. Oh, and of course, ideally you want to use the sledgehammer on this build. I would say the Matilda and the sledgehammer would be the most ideal. And if you feel like one-shotting the creatures, then yeah, use the Lightning Hawk, and you're definitely gonna one-shot creatures if you focus the reticle when you're shooting and you get a headshot. So here again, I'm getting a few more grenades. You see, I already have a few grenades there that I simply got from killing the creatures myself. Because remember, your team can also get the grenades. So sometimes you don't seem to get enough grenades, but it's mostly because your team is actually getting them and not you. So so here again, just also the another very advantageous point about Valerie is the size of her inventory. So you see, I can just like carry all this. I can carry like a melee weapon. I can carry ammo. I can carry a firearm. Like, and it's still, I have room for everything plus the herbs. So it's really good in that sense. So I see the core there. Now see, take note of the damage. 500, and it did 1,000 the second one. You see right there, 500 damage, 1,000 damage on a creature that the Mastermind is controlling, which is crazy because he has already 50% less damage when he's controlling the creature. So again, making sure I have this build, you have to be active and like you have to look out if you have the effect of the yellow herb or not, because you always want to be eating those yellow herbs. So you have the effect like during the entirety of the game. And if you need to, use your spray for healing next to your teammates, so they also get the effect. So now he's Mr. X. I'm kind of actually, you see that there 1,000 per shot, 1,500. There's like 3 shots to creatures. He's not gonna survive more than 3 shots. What see the right there? I killed him with 1 shot alone because it was 1,500. Now here comes you see the kind of damage that I'm getting here. Now that I'm marking, it was 1,500. Now that I marked it, it goes 20% more. So I'm getting like essentially 1,900 there for every hit. My sledgehammer, and that's not being a critical hit, because if it's critical hit, it's gonna be higher than 2,000, which rivals the damage of Samuel. So it's crazy. You see, I totally destroyed the core by myself with Val right there. So right here I'm trying to so I have so many grenades from killing the creatures that I want my teammate to to carry some of it for me. And see, this build, the fact that you get grenades from killing the creatures just, just stacks, everything just stacks up together. Because like you're killing them so easily, and you're also being rewarded for it with the grenades, which then especially the flashbangs. The flashbang can make a lot of difference. You can use the flashbangs on Mr. X, the bioweapon, if it's nemesis and whatnot. Or you can just use it on the creatures itself. If you have like a net, a room full of creatures, you can use a single flashbang, just like Martin did here, and it would already. You see right there, I'm not having the yellow herb effect, but it's still doing plus more than 1,000. So, but because I'm marking it, but if I had the yellow herb there, it would go from 1,100 to like near 2,000. Just so you can see how much of a difference it makes when you have the yellow herb with this build. And again, if you see there in the equipment, I was using 2 of the syringes to increase the effect of buffing items. If you can also use 3 there, or maybe even 4. And these effects would be all higher. The damage would be higher, you would take less damage, everything would be higher. However, your personal power would not recover as fast. But I don't know if you guys don't feel like that's a problem. That's just something you can do as well. Do not use the recovery for the personal skill, and just use buffing, increase the buffing in general. And as you can see here, if you need to get rid of the infection for whatever reason, just use blue herbs, since your spray is more for getting the yellow herb effect. Now you see the kind of damage there. It's really the survivors, the zombies are not gonna survive more than like three headshots with this kind of build. You see there, I'm still getting grenades for killing them. Now this is a good example. You see he's shooting me really hard with the machine gun there, and I barely take any damage because of the yellow herb. It's like I took like less than 10% of my health there, pretty much, and he pretty much wasted the entire machine gun on me. But yeah, this is why I can recommend the Matilda, because you can just focus the aim a lot quicker and get 50% more damage out of it when your reticle is fully focused. Especially if you get a headshot, then it's a lot of damage there. So yeah, guys, that's the build. Try it out. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it. I think the marking is really crucial, so I really recommend you use the build like I'm using here. If anything, you take a little bit more out of the buffing and increase the recovery on the marking. But the way it is right now, I think it's balanced. You have 2 for recovery, 2 for increasing the enhancing effects. Yeah, guys, that's the build. Hope you guys enjoy it. Take care. See you guys in the next video.